Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Before we jump right into the torture testing and kind of over the beach test / mud puddle dip of the DS Arms FAL clone, I wanted to take a moment and state that in this video, I do something very reckless and dumb without entirely realizing it. And yeah, my brain said, maybe I should take that off the gun before using it like this, but I did not. And I even had the standard gas plug and a different muzzle device to put on it. But instead, I dunked the rifle multiple times with a suppressor on, and running a rifle suppressor wet is a big no-no and something I do know now. It did result in damage of the Omega 300, and it required the suppressor to be serviced under warranty, and I didn't realize why I had suffered that failure until well after, when I was doing some investigative reading, just wondering why suppressors can fail from some form of overpressure. So, sorry, warranty department at Silencer Co. I sent something in and it definitely was on me, but those folks are fantastic. But I did want to note that before we do this, do not replicate this test with a suppressor on your rifle. It is a big no-no, just like dunking a direct gas impingement / internal gas piston AR into water and running it before draining the gas tube. You will get a kapow. Thankfully, the suppressor did not kapow. It was built exceptionally well. And with that said, I will do a video on that specific topic. Enjoy this torture test. We're going to do a quick dunk test. This isn't a full-blown like over the beach or torture test, but I've got some brackish, muddy, kind of sandy water and an FAL that has just cleared the 1,000 round mark. But what I do have is some Igman M80 ball, which is extremely reliable and I've not had any problems with as long as the rifle has been cleaned and gassed properly. And by cleaned, I mean suppressed firing over, I think, 500 rounds without cleaning or really any oiling. So here's screw it. It's gonna have to stand in the water. Here's a few rounds of M80 ball to show that it is functional out of a standard surplus 20 round steel mag. Okay, that's fairly lightly gassed with this Omega 300 and the proper gas piston. That has one round left in it. We're just gonna let that do its thing. I'm going to use the rifle sling, I'm getting leak in my boot here, to drop it into the water, ejection port down, and I guess we're gonna be testing out a lot of things, but here we go. You know, sometimes rifles get dunked, sometimes they get rained on. I am not going to shoot it with a suppressor full of water. I'm going to let it drain first. The suppressor was still too hot for me to remove from the gun, so I just decided to leave it. All right, bubble stopped. Water's dripping out of the suppressor. We're going to get a lot of back pressure, so it should cycle, and there doesn't look to be any grime in there, so let's see what happens. Very gassy, no problem, but I definitely should have my iPro, or at least some way, shape, or form of iPro on. All right, well, that mag is very nasty now. We're going to reload. This mag has 5 rounds in it. Okay, back in the drink. And this time, I'm going to scooter around. Again, I'm not trying to get the suppressor nasty. This is not a suppressor torture test, and I just got the suppressor. So I'm really just trying to get the action dirty. And a lot of times what water does is it gums up carbon and floats off oil. So sometimes some firearms that just need to be wet, once the water's gone, don't work too well. But
Let's see here, a couple rounds. Very smoky. Suppressor's a little bit cooler than it would normally be. Well, yeah. So there's definitely some mud and grime getting into the action here. You can see that. That's just carbon and dirt floating in the action. There's water hanging in the magazine. So guess dunk it again. Wait a minute. Okay, coming out. Drain the suppressor. Let's see. No fire. Failure to lock back. And we're getting grimy. But we cycled. So I'm going to move the gas regulator closed one position, if it'll let me. It's hard to get a grip on it with the water. There we go, one position closed. All right, there to go into battery. There we go. All right, let's see if it shoots 2 rounds. Fair to go into battery. Fine now. We're gonna just gas the crap out of this thing. Okay, here she goes. Into the drink. I'm watching the muzzle, make sure I'm not dragging it in. I'm gonna reach down. Ah, she's getting dragged. Okay, no more bubbles from the magazine. Drain the suppressor out. Very nice. Oh, so great. Let's see here. Let's see. Nothing. Oh, that's because that was an empty cartridge case. So failure to extract and eject on the last round fired. So I guess it's true about the FAL in having trouble with getting a bunch of grit in it. So there's that cartridge. The magazines are pretty dang reliable. The rifles, oh, I've cut myself somehow on this rifle. The rifle's pretty fantastic overall, but there's no way to force it into battery. You gotta just use spring pressure, like an AR without a forward assist. And failure to fire. Last round the mag. Excuse me, failure to go into battery. All right, I'm gonna send the gas regulator home. 2 more clicks. I'm gonna go grab some ammunition and we're gonna try again. So yeah, there's 5 more rounds of the same exact mag. Failure to go into battery. There we go. So let's see here. Failure to eject. Double feed. In battery. I'm gonna retrieve that cartridge before I lose it. Let's put it in the mag. Let's just keep giving her more gas all the way closed. Let's see. Now we're cooking with peanut oil. Okay, so this is going to change things when you're suppressing it depending upon the gas plug that you put in it and the port size that you've got inserted into the DSA gas suppressor gas plug. It seems, in my experience so far, when it gets really dirty, when it starts getting choked up, suppressed or unsuppressed, keep turning the gas up. Just keep closing until it runs. Now, can you get this so dirty it won't run? Yeah, you definitely can. I got it completely closed. Screw it. Same exact magazine. Put 5 more rounds in it and see if it'll run it. All right, it's getting a little dark. I've still got my safety glasses on. I decided to put, sunglasses. I decided to put 20 rounds in the same exact magazine. That went home perfectly fine. Here's the other 2 mags still in the water. Things I do because I'm curious and because I guess I like making YouTube videos. I don't know. Failure to go into battery. In battery now. Failure to go into battery. Failure to go into battery. Gotta recock the hammer. Failure to go into battery. Dead trigger. Failure to go into battery. It's kind of becoming a bolt action rifle slowly but surely, but it is going to battery once the pressure off the magazine is relieved. So it's got enough grit in it. Failure to go into battery. Failure to go into battery. Okay, lock back. All right, so got enough gas to cycle, but there's too much crap in it for that tilting bolt, that locking wedge, to drop into place. So, smells like freedom and cat pee for some reason. That's gross. But yeah, so you can fight your way through it. Unless that was your last mag and you were just absolutely fighting to the last bullet. What am I doing with these things? I don't know. But you'd probably switch to a new mag, which may or may not help. Even being a bit grody, having carbon feeding back down in there with water, having dirt in there, it's not causing a bunch of problems like you would expect. So yeah, it might just be that when it gets too dirty, you're gonna have problems. Now, if we put the regular gas plug back in, even suppressed, and we're overgassing the junk out of it, it might beat some of that debris out of it, but it's not really a problem with extracting and ejection so much as it is going back into battery. And without an out of battery safety on a US federal law compliant FAL, you're, instead of getting a dead trigger and knowing, okay, I'm out of battery, I need to cycle the gun, you just get a click. And now you have to fight the cartridge case extraction, the magazine tension, and a dropped hammer. Is it that big of a deal? No. But I will say, on a para model with a folding handle, or you know, an L1A1 model, or whatever you may call it, that handle needs to be opened up every time, and it is not kind to the hand if you really have to run it fast. So if you're thinking about, I want the FAL as my dedicated battle rifle, there's plenty of things to consider. It's actually a really excellent rifle. It can be very accurate. It's very serviceable. It's extremely reliable. But when it comes to adverse conditions, such as dunking into a buttload of water after shooting it suppressed a bunch, it may or may not be a great idea. You know, an AR, it can be said the same thing about that. Honestly, in my experience, in investigation, I've seen a lot of different rifle designs and a lot of different shotgun designs go down really easy, or not go down at all, or actually underperform when you expect them to do really well. The AR is really great at overperforming as long as you don't hydrolock the system and end up blowing the gun because there's water in the gas tube and in the bolt carrier. And then on the AK side, it'll power through a lot, but it doesn't like a bunch of mud. The FAL obviously doesn't like a bunch of grime inside that locking recess. If there was some way to create a clearance so that that grime could just push out of the way, you probably would do really well. Increased action spring tension would be great, but then you've got to really overgas the system. Half of, you know, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It is what it is. I don't know what bird is over there making all that noise, but it is very distracting. So, hey, it is what it is. You know, do I wish it did better? Yeah. Does it make me change my mind about using the FAL for deer hunting, for fun, for training, or possibly even serious purposes? Not really, but I have to understand its limitations. This is not, there's a lot of guns that are probably going to shut down if you do an over the beach test. Sand and sandy water and muck and grime are really debilitating to a lot of firearms. Being able to adjust on the fly and get it running is great. As we can see, taking a dunk or two and chugging through, the rifle can do it, but you can only get, you're going to get to a certain point with everything. And there's plenty of tests out there where they dump a bunch of mud on the FAL and go to shoot, and regardless of how much gas you give it, it just won't help. Now, getting gas blowback from a suppressor does help get, you know, turn a lot of that debris into ejecta, but it's going to push it around. I mean, if I crack this girl open, I've got my homemade gas buster plate gasket back here. You know, the trigger group actually looks just fine. The upper receiver has got plenty of room to get that junk out. So really, its Achilles heel is kind of what makes it partly so smooth, and that is that tilting wedge lock. Rotating bolts have proven in a lot of ways to be, that is still too hot, I should not hold that, have proven to be very reliable and able to power through a good amount of debris. But if you, regardless, if it's front locking, rear locking, tilting wedge, rotating bolt, if you get a bunch of junk in the bolt recess, it's going down. If you get a bunch of junk in the chamber, it's going down. You have to get that debris out of there. So if you're expecting that your primary firearm is going to go into the drink, is going to have a problem, you need to be carrying a secondary, period. So you need a sidearm. And if you're expecting that, you need to train for it. What does it take to perform remedial action on your firearm? The FAL is not a modernized firearm. I mean, it is a post-World War II design that belonged pre-World War II. It is a culmination of efforts that are lessons learned that was made for the last war. This rifle would have been incredible for World War II and the Korean War. And it was great in Vietnam, the Indochina War, the Bush War in Rhodesia, etc. And it's still great today. But just remember, when we're talking about designs, the AR-15 and the AK are kind of anomalies. The AK's been, I think, surpassed in a lot of ways, or improved, and its resiliency is that it's in extremely common use worldwide, and there's just a boatload of them. So the same thing can be said about the FAL, but the FAL is aging out. The AR just continues to be updated, and frankly, the direct impingement gas and internal gas piston system of Eugene Stoner's and Gene Sullivan's design work is genius, and it is resilient and it's adaptable. The FAL is adaptable, but it has its limitations. The AK is adaptable, it has its limitations. If you say, oh, well, there's no reason to go to anything else besides an AR, yeah, pretty much, except AR-10s kind of suck sometimes and have the same problems the FAL will. So if you're going away from 5.56, I don't know what to tell you. Just find something that works for you and learn how to use the damn thing, become good with it, become very proficient, and just learn how to overcome its deficiencies for those that it has. Anyways, guys, babbling on and on and on and on. As always, God bless. Keep your powder dry. I'll see you in the next one. I need to go home. It's getting dark.